Before Michael Bublé became known as a five-time Grammy-winning international superstar, the Canadian crooner from Burnaby, BC, lived in downtown Toronto, where he made his living performing in bars. It was happening in a big way. He tells Key's Tom Power in an interview. "I mean, listen, was it happening? Like, was I making good money? No, I was just fighting for gigs." Despite his undeniable talent, Bublé didn't immediately find fame. After 10 years playing Toronto's bar scene, he considered moving back to BC and maybe enrolling in a university broadcasting program or starting a family with his girlfriend at the time. "I was waking up to the reality that, it just might not happen for me," he says. "I had many friends who were in broadcasting and they were journalists. And I was like, listen, maybe I'm not going to be the story. Maybe I'll be part of telling the story." But then, in a fortuitous turn of events, Bublé landed his biggest gig yet, singing at the wedding of Carolee Mulroney, the daughter of former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. "I had done this corporate event for a car company or something, and when I was there, I gave this CD I had, one of my last indie CDs called Babalu, to a fellow named Michael McSweeney. He was this really lovely guy who ended up being very close to the Mulroney family. He was like a right-hand kind of man. I think he was a speechwriter." The next day, McSweeney told Bublé that the former Prime Minister's wife, Mela Mulroney, was in Toronto and wanted to meet him. She and her husband had heard his CD and loved it. At their meeting, Bublé told Mela his story and she invited him to sing at her daughter's wedding. "Not anybody knew who I was," he says. "So there I am at the wedding, and I'm singing Mac the Knife or something. And I look and there's our Prime Minister with his arm around music producer David Foster, kind of in half headlock. Real proud." At this point in the story, you might expect Foster, one of the greatest producers in pop music history, to have immediately offered Bublé a recording contract on the spot. But that's not what happened. "Not even close," Bublé says. "He kicked me out of his house, as a matter of fact. I came to his house so many times and I said, 'What's it going to take?' And he said, 'You are on my radar. Get the F out. It's never going to happen.' I said, 'Listen, it has to happen. So tell me what has to happen.' And he said, 'Look, dude, you're never going to get signed to Warner. I'm never going to produce your records.' I said, 'Well, what do I got to do?' He said, 'Look, $100,000 a track. That's what it costs to do a record like this. And 6 tracks, minimum. Good luck.' He said, 'You are on my radar. Get the F out. It's never going to happen.'" Michael Bublé. After Bublé left Foster's house, his manager at the time, Beverly Delich, went to the bank to secure him a loan. She eventually found someone willing to underwrite it, and Bublé returned to Foster to tell them he had the funds to make his record. Even then, it wasn't the end of the story, Bublé says. A few days into working on the record, Foster told Bublé that Paul Anka wanted to meet him. They set up a meeting at Anka's house, and Bublé sang the song My Way by Frank Sinatra, which Anka wrote. Paul was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to get the money. You don't need the money from these investors." The story of Michael Bublé is one that echoes the power of persistence, passion, and an unwavering belief in one's own dreams. For years, the Canadian crooner faced skepticism, doubt, and naysayers who told him that his success was never going to happen. Yet, despite these early setbacks, Bublé's journey to superstardom is a testament to the idea that the most fulfilling achievements often come to those who refuse to give up, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Bublé, known for his velvety voice and timeless renditions of jazz, pop, and swing standards, has become a global icon, capturing the hearts of millions. His discography, filled with smooth ballads and his iconic Christmas albums, has made him a household name, especially during the holiday season. But for the man behind the music, it wasn't always a smooth ride to fame and fortune. In fact, Bublé's path to success was fraught with rejection, doubt, and a fair amount of no's from industry professionals who didn't believe he could make it. A dream that almost didn't happen. Growing up in Vancouver, Michael Bublé was always captivated by music. As a young child, he was enchanted by the smooth sounds of Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and Nat King Cole. His love for the golden age of jazz and big band music set him apart from other kids his age, and he dreamed of one day becoming a professional singer. But Bublé's journey wasn't an easy one, and his dreams of stardom faced more roadblocks than he could have imagined. In the early years of his career, Bublé struggled to get his foot in the door of the music industry. He didn't have the polished pop star persona that labels were looking for at the time, and his passion for jazz standards didn't seem to fit the mainstream mold. His first attempts at getting noticed were met with silence. He would perform in small clubs, but recognition seemed distant. Record executives told him that his style of music was outdated, too old-fashioned to resonate with modern audiences. Some even told him straight out that his dream of becoming a major star was unrealistic. The industry didn't see the potential in him that he saw in himself. "I was told countless times that it wasn't going to happen," Bublé recalled in interviews. "People would say, 'This is not the music of today, no one's interested in it anymore,' or 'There's no place for you in the market.' They told me that my style wasn't going to resonate and that I should try something more current. They said it was never going to happen for me." Despite the harsh realities and unrelenting rejections, Bublé remained undeterred. He loved the music he was singing, and that passion kept him going. His belief in his ability to connect with people through his music fueled his determination to succeed. He didn't want to chase trends. Instead, he wanted to make music that was true to who he was, a modern interpreter of the classics, someone who could make old songs feel fresh again for a new generation. Breaking through. The turning point. The turning point in Michael Bublé's career came not through mainstream channels, but by seizing an unexpected opportunity that would ultimately change the trajectory of his life. After performing in small clubs and trying to make a name for himself in Vancouver, Bublé's big break came when a chance meeting with legendary music producer David Foster turned the tides in his favor. Foster, a Grammy-winning producer with a long list of successful collaborations with artists like Celine Dion, Barbra Streisand, and Josh Groban, was impressed by Bublé's voice and his ability to make classic songs sound contemporary. Foster saw something that others had missed, a rare talent that combined impeccable technique with undeniable charm. In 2000, he offered Bublé a chance to record a demo, and that demo would eventually lead to Bublé being signed by 143 Records, a subsidiary of Reprise Records. With Foster's backing, Bublé recorded his first album, Michael Bublé, which was released in 2003. The album, which featured a mix of jazz standards and contemporary ballads, became an instant success, winning the hearts of listeners and critics alike. His rendition of songs like Fever and The Way You Look Tonight proved that there was still a demand for classic vocal styles, but with a modern twist. The success of his debut album proved the doubters wrong. Bublé's music connected with audiences in a way that few could have predicted. His blend of nostalgia and freshness resonated not only with older generations who grew up listening to crooners, but also with younger listeners who found something captivating and new in his renditions. In a world dominated by pop and R&B, Michael Bublé found his niche, and it was bigger than anyone had anticipated. The meteoric rise to fame. After the release of his debut album, Bublé's rise to fame was swift. His next few albums, including It's Time, 2005, and Call Me Irresponsible, 2007, solidified his place as a global star. His 2007 album, Call Me Irresponsible, went multi-platinum and garnered several nominations, including Grammy Awards. The album's success was propelled by the hit single Everything, a song that has since become one of Bublé's signature tracks. By this point, the once doubting industry had completely changed its tune. Michael Bublé was no longer seen as a niche artist, he was an international star. His smooth vocals and charismatic stage presence won him millions of fans around the world. His appeal spanned generations, and his versatility allowed him to experiment with different genres while staying true to his jazz and big band roots. In addition to his musical success, Bublé's signature holiday album, Christmas, 2011, became a seasonal favorite and cemented his place as a cultural figure synonymous with the festive season. The album's mix of classic Christmas songs and Bublé's distinctive voice made it an annual staple for families and holiday gatherings. A story of resilience and triumph. Today, Michael Bublé is an international star with a career that spans over 2 decades. He has sold millions of albums, won numerous awards, and has been recognized for his ability to bring a timeless style of music to modern audiences. However, his story is more than just one of fame and fortune. It's one of resilience, persistence, and the power of believing in oneself against all odds. Looking back, Bublé reflects on his early struggles and the many people who told him that his dreams were never going to happen. He recognizes that those rejections were painful, but they were also integral to his success. Without those challenges, he might never have been motivated to keep pushing forward, to keep honing his craft, and to eventually prove that there was a place for his style of music in the world. I think a lot of people think that success just happens overnight, but that's not the case, Bublé said. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices, and a lot of failures along the way. But if you believe in something, you have to keep fighting for it, even when people tell you it's never going to happen. Michael Bublé's rise to fame is a testament to the power of perseverance. He was told that his dreams were impossible, yet he kept going, believing in his vision and his music. And in the end, the world was proved wrong. His story is one of inspiration for anyone who has ever been told it's never going to happen. Sometimes, the road to success is long and uncertain. But with passion, dedication, and an unshakable belief in oneself, anything is possible. Michael Bublé's success is proof of that. After thanking the investors and calling off the loan, Bublé was excited to finally be living his dream. But from there, it got weirder, as he puts it. The deal ultimately fell through and Bublé was back to square one. But instead of packing it up and heading home to BC, he did something brave. At Kenny D's wedding anniversary, Bublé approached Foster one more time and asked him to let him plead his case to Tom Whalley, the president of Warner. That was putting David in a very awkward position, Bublé says. When you ask a person like David to bring you into that meeting, you're basically saying, "Hey, put your balls on the line for me." At the meeting, Whalley asked Bublé why Warner should sign him, adding that they already had Sinatra on Reprise Records, a subsidiary of Warner. "I said, Mr. Whalley, with all due respect, Sinatra's passed, he died," Bublé recalls. "Don't bury the music with him. Give me a chance. I will work harder than any artist on your roster. I will work harder. And if you let me, I will continue the legacy of my heroes, and I will never stop." About 5 days later, Bublé received a call from Foster. "I'll never forget it," Bublé says. He said, "Mike, man, I want to welcome you to the family. You're never going to have to worry again. We've got you now."